Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And we are back here with our friend, our holistic inspiration coach, a Reiki master, Dr. Laura Garland, joining us here today, as always, from Charleston Reiki and Tarot. Pleasure to have you here. Welcome back. How you doing?
Hi, Jill. I'm doing great.
Well, the good news is I heard we're going to see each other in person soon.
We are.
Yay!
We're supposed to do that in mid-July, I believe.
Looking forward to it.
So
yay. Hello,
Yay.
hello. What do we have in store for today? You're pulling your cards. You're all ready?
Yes. Today's topic is health, but from a very different perspective. Not going to talk about diet or exercise or anything to do with that. As always, the supporting cards tell me what to focus on. And since health is such a huge topic, they went really kind of different today. Loneliness. Interestingly, my husband and I were actually discussing this last night. We both had some clients who we were talking about this. Now, just to let you know, we never actually talk specifics, and I don't know which client he's talking about because he has 8 in a day.
So, absolutely understand. Yes, correct.
But we were literally talking about this topic last night, and then I pulled the cards, and there it was, and I was like, oh my gosh. So loneliness. A recent study done by Harvard actually found that 36% of Americans had stated that they felt some sort of loneliness going on, which is up considerably. Now, granted, the study was done in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
But, and I'll get into this in a second. Like I said, just last night, my husband and I were discussing this concerning our clients. Back in 2017, the Journal of the American Psychological Association published a study that concluded that people who felt loneliness increased their risk of getting sick for a whole bunch of things.
Wow.
Like cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
A whole variety of cancers, and a whole variety of inflammatory diseases like diabetes, Alzheimer's, and fibromyalgia. So feeling extended periods of loneliness really can wear on our health. And strangely, Western medicine still, in many instances, has this whole separation of mind, body. They're two separate things. Like we're supposed to be cut off at the head or something, and that doesn't interact with our body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But come on. When you get physically sick, you feel down emotionally.
Oh yeah.
When you are emotionally down, everybody knows that if you're emotionally down, your chance of catching a cold is way higher, or catching something else. But this particular study that they concluded in 2017 wasn't just for a cold. This is for big deal things like cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, various cancers. So working on this for us is important. It's not just something that counselors need to work on, or psychologists or whoever, depending on your state. It's really important.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we tackle a problem? I don't have the answers. And that the study that did show the increase in loneliness was conducted at the height of the pandemic. But like I said, my husband and I were just talking about this. I've had multiple clients this last month talk to me about this. He told me that he's had many clients talk about the same thing. And the interesting thing is that here in Charleston, we didn't lock down the way that a lot of the rest of the country did. We were locked down for 2 months in 2020. That was all that was mandated. So we haven't had the same lockdown. My husband and I did close our office several different times, but that was a personal choice on ours. And several businesses did that periodically as we had the waves. But again, it wasn't the same type of lockdown that a lot of the rest of the country experienced, but our clients are still experiencing this loneliness.
Mhm.
They're still expressing senses of isolation and disaffection. It doesn't seem to be improving.
No.
So I'm looking at this study from 2017. I'm now concerned about health outcomes for our clients and for anyone out there who's feeling this sense of loneliness, isolation, and disaffection. And social media usage went up drastically during the pandemic.
Interesting. Yeah. What else are we going to do? We're home.
Yeah, but interestingly, social media doesn't seem to fill the void.
No.
And perhaps it's due to many reasons. I mean, a lot of times on social media, you're just reading stuff. You're not actually even interacting with someone or even watching someone do a live presentation or anything like that. But often, as studies have shown, it's made people feel worse. I mean, there was the whole thing with Instagram made young women feel terrible.
Yeah.
And they reported feeling even more and more isolated and lonely. But it wasn't just young women. There's plenty of guys out there, people in their 30s, people 40s. It doesn't seem to matter. The actual least affected by the whole pandemic seemed to be the older crowd, actually, interestingly. So those who are retirement age or beyond seem to be the least affected by it. The rest of us, isolation has cropped up. And why doesn't, like, because FaceTime, Zoom, all of these things really increased through the roof, right? People working from home, they were doing Zoom with boss and with colleagues and clients or whatever for their business, all of this. Why didn't that help? Well, Zoom is not you and I in person.
No.
It's not. And during the pandemic, my husband, who's the counselor, went completely Zoom for quite a while. Well, it's a different program, but completely video. And he had to really learn how to read his client.
Yeah.
Over the video, because he's so used to picking up all kinds of cues from the client in person, and had to really learn to do that. I had to really learn to read my clients over video. Now, I was actually a little bit lucky in that when I learned to do soul retrieval back in 2016, we were actually the first class to ever do it online. And so we learned to do soul retrieval. I never saw my teacher in person. It was always over video. And so I had to learn to do that, but that was a specific skill. And during the pandemic, I had to learn to increase that, broaden that. And the thing is that our human system is used to picking up someone else's energy. And you have really had to do this as just part of your whole thing.
It's natural though, but yeah, you can pick up if someone's having a good day, a bad day. Same with you.
Right.
You know, yeah.
And we had to work a little on getting our connection set up. The first few times we're like, feeling it out and seeing how
cutting each other off sometimes. Yeah.
Seeing how to read each other. And so I'm an energy worker, so I'm very conscious of sending my energy so you can feel it, and drawing your energy out and sensing it so that we can get this connection. But if you're not an energy worker, if you're not a charismatic personality who is used to really connecting with people like you do, it's kind of part of your normal skill. But so many people who had to go work at home, it's not their normal skill. It's not, and they may never have even considered what's going on. Yeah. And there's still a lot of people really working at home. A lot have gone back, but a lot have just transitioned to continuing to work at home. And this is still leading to that sense of isolation because you have to work at drawing the energy and feeling it. So this brings us to my other supporting card, which is empathy, because that's really how you're sensing the energy, is through our sense of quote unquote empathy. Everybody is an empath. Mm-hmm. Just some are turned up higher than others. Some are more observant than others. I like to say it's like running. Unless you have a specific disability, everyone can run. Just not all of us make it to the Olympics. I certainly have never been to the Olympics for running. Yeah. So with empathy, we all can do it. We just may not be paying attention. But that is that energetic connection that we have. And unless you signed on in this life to be a hermit, which is a very tiny number of people who actually decided that this life they were going to be a hermit. Unless you sign on for that, you really need that energetic connection, because that's that sense of isolation that we've been feeling. Because we haven't been getting it. We haven't been feeling it. So I do have a suggestion. If you're still feeling really isolated and maybe are still working from home or have transitioned to doing some job where you're doing that, go out to a coffee house. Now, be safe.
Yes,
okay?
Correct.
Be safe still, but go out to a coffee house or something like that and smile at somebody. Okay, don't be creepy about it.
That's great.
See, here in the South, smiling at somebody would be completely like totally normal. That it's what we do. Now, I was raised in the Northeast, so I know that like smiling at somebody could be considered a little creepy. So don't be creepy about it.
I'm a smiler and I'm in the Northeast, but still, I understand what you mean. Yeah. I don't think us Northeasterners are as friendly as your Southerners, and I think we should all have some more Southern hospitality.
It's very true, and it's not necessarily as friendly thing. I've had this discussion with my husband because he was born and raised in the Mid-South. So the very first time I took him up Northeast to meet my folks and see stuff, he's like, "Oh my God, people are so unfriendly." I'm like, no. There's just so many people in such tiny areas.
A little more guarded, like walking through New York City, everyone's in a hustle, the bustle. It's all about this. They're very narrow-minded, but they do forget to open that door and hold it for you sometimes. And you got to remind them and give it back to them. And then you receive. So I don't think it's personal, but yes.
Well, yeah. It's not unfriendly. It's more of a, well, it's much easier to feel isolated up there because you don't get that smile. Yeah. Like if you're walking in downtown Charleston, people will smile at you all the time. Just walking on the sidewalk, it's just really common. And it's really funny to watching some people come down from the Northeast and like have them like do double takes because people are smiling at them all the time. Yeah. But it is that energetic connection. It's that automatic energetic connection. In the cities in the Northeast, and even in rural Northeast, you're still really actually close to a lot of people, and so you're kind of bathed in just everybody else's energy automatically, even if you aren't making personal connections. but that personal connection is needed. So I'm saying, go out to a coffee house, smile at somebody, see if you can strike up a conversation with somebody.
Why not? Yeah.
You know, I actually was at Barnes and Noble this weekend, and I smiled at a couple people, and the next thing we know, we're sitting there having a very interesting conversation. And it was just lovely, lovely to do, because during the pandemic, a lot of our close friends who lived locally actually moved. And additionally, some of them no longer quite fit in the friend group because of differences in beliefs that have cropped up. And this is another thing that's happened with isolation, is we've lost friends because of vast differences in beliefs that we can't seem quite yet to figure out how to overcome.
Yeah.
So if you're in the same boat like I am, a lot of my friends are gone. So from the area. So going out and actually striking up that conversation over this weekend was really kind of fun. And I'm not a particularly, actually, no, I'm not an extrovert, not at all. I'm actually very much an introvert, but that was still really, really delightful to do that. If you do have your local friends, get together with them, be safe, but get together in person so that you can have that energetic thing that we need. Humans need that energetic interaction.
Yep.
It's like babies need to be cuddled, held.
Absolutely.
And adults need the energetic interaction. We do. Now, one of the good things about the pandemic for a lot of people was when they weren't having that in-person interaction, they suddenly found the drama in their life drastically reducing.
True.
And this is where we can also take into that account that empathy. So when we do go back out and start interacting with people again, I want you to ask yourself, when you've done the interaction, is your energy uplifted, neutral, or drained? And if it's drained, well then, that is going to be somebody who is taking your energy. It may be due to drama, or it just may be because they're a person who has some form of toxicity. And as we know, if you drain your energy, that's gonna have some sort of effect on your health, because that is literally your personal energy to run your body. So it's gonna have some effect on your health. And so become more cognizant, become more aware, and focus in on, after the interactions, are they draining you? Are they uplifting you? Or are they neutral? Neutral and uplifting are fine. Uplifting's great, but neutral's fine. But if it's draining, what's the toxicity there? What's going on? And do you want to continue that? Now, if they're your boss, the coworker directly next to you, or someone in your family, you might not be able to necessarily avoid them. But you can work. There are things that you can do to help with that. And that is something that I work with clients a lot, because of particularly what I do. I get a lot of clients who are quite, their empathy's tuned up, and they're often in states of agitation, anxiety, unease, or drained, because they're picking up on stuff all around them from various people. So, I'm working on helping them try to find ways to either not associate, if that's possible, find better, happier, uplifting associates. And if it's someone you can't avoid, how to interact with that person. Is that person a narcissist? Most narcissists are very draining.
Yep.
On the people around them, so there's particular ways that you have to function with a narcissist. Is that person histrionic?
Yeah.
Oh, there's ways to work around that too. And then there's all kinds of other just random things that people can be. And sometimes it's just because no one's told them not to be that way.
True.
And so working with the clients to find a way to better interact with people so that they're not getting drained. They still have their empathy, because empathy is super important. There was a study done, oh shoot, it's gone straight out of my head. But a huge study was done on business and like business climate and retention of employees and all of this. And the biggest correlating factor, for those of you out there who know anything about statistics, it was a 0.7 correlation factor. People who know that will understand that that's pretty high. It goes from 0 to 1. So the correlation factor that was the highest at 0.7 was whether or not your boss saw you as an individual person and treated you like that. That was the biggest thing for productivity, happiness, retention, is if your boss saw you as a person and treated you as such.
Wow.
And so this isn't just retention, because anybody who owns a business knows if you have to keep bringing in new people, you have to keep training them, and that takes away from productivity. This is just straight up individual person productivity. If their boss saw them as a person and treated them as such, that person worked harder for the company. So empathy.
Yes.
Because that's the big thing. If you are a leader of anybody, if you have empathy for who are your employees, who work under you in the hierarchy, if you have empathy for them and can really feel them, even if you guys are still on Zoom, you got to work on that energetic connection. If you can feel that energetic connection and return it to your employees, then we increase productivity for companies.
Yeah.
So empathy is a huge thing. If somebody feels that empathy as an employee, productivity on a day-to-day basis is higher. But here's the other thing. They take less sick days.
Yeah.
So we're back to that again. If you're getting a good, clear, energetic connection, nice energetic connection from people you interact with, you're less sick. And it doesn't matter whether the employees were taking them as mental health days, that's still a sick day, or whether they had caught a cold or caught a flu or just felt so awful that they couldn't work that day, or whether they had been not able to sleep. It didn't matter. It's a sick day. So empathy as a boss, as a leader, is super important. And I work with people working on their empathy, whether they have it tuned up too high and need to figure out a way to protect themselves, or whether they're working as a leader trying to turn that up so that they can feel it. It's important. And I want people to know that you can have your empathy set at a level that is helpful to you. So it doesn't harm you if you've got it tuned up too high. And if you're in a leadership position, you can set it at a level so that you're actually being a more productive leader And so either way, we can work on that. And as we know, if your energetic connections are good, your health outcomes are going to be better. And that's what we want. We want everybody to be healthier, happier, lead a beautiful, inspiring life.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And that's what you're here doing.
that is what I try to do. That is my work, is to get people to connect their mind, their body, and their spirit, all integrated to lead beautiful, inspiring lives. And it doesn't matter whether you're a CEO, whether you're just starting out from college, doesn't matter. We all want to lead those beautiful, inspiring lives, even if we're just inspiring ourselves. So yeah.
Well, thank you for always enlightening us and sharing with us. And also, you offer many services. How can we reach out to you and tell us about the work you do before we go, please?
Sure. So I offer Reiki, which is an energetic healing, Shamanic Reiki, which is an increased level in that, which includes things like soul retrieval or past life retrievals, because if we've lost energy in either of those places, we don't have it here right now so that we can make the best decisions. I also do tarot cards. It was one of the first things I did professionally. Been doing it for more than 30 years now.
Yeah.
And it's suddenly morphed where reading the tarot is much more like a coaching session. And so when I read it for you, it's much more helping you get clarity and really moving your life forward into that beautiful, inspiring direction. And then I do coach. And I combine all of those things when I work with you for coaching. So it's incredible to see when people start on the path toward that beautiful, inspiring life, start to integrate their mind, their body, and their spirit into something whole and wonderful. And the more people we have doing that, the happier, better world we're going to have. So yes. And I want to say that you can call me directly, 843-259-8349, or email drlaura.coach. So that's drlaura.coach@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for being here, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.